What's going on, everybody? This is Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok, which is something I didn't think we'd ever say. But hey, we're here. I'm Moose. You're going to be your host, co-founder here at OccupyFantasy.com, at CFB_Moose on Twitter. I'm here with Brian, CEO, co-founder of Occupy Fantasy, at Brian Jester FF. Brian, how you doing today, man?
Good, Moose. Like you, I never thought those words would come out of my mouth that we have a TikTok account, but we do. If you're Gen Zer or hell, you're a millennial, whatever. If you're on TikTok, go check us out. We're putting some informative videos over there. And yeah, preseason's back. We had a nice little break, and now we got Thursday through Monday, Moose, of divorce season.
Yeah, and so how I finessed it is, so it's not divorce season. I'm actually going to the game tomorrow, and so girlfriend can go drink beer, do whatever. I'm gonna be on the sidelines, peeping out an hour before who's coming out, getting boots on the ground, ears and whatever, figuring out how we can make the preseason notes doc even better.
Dude, love to hear that, and that's a veteran move. I love it.
Absolutely. So, but today's not Friday. Today's Thursday. We're here to talk about tonight's game between the Patriots and the Eagles. And Brian, you and I were talking about it beforehand, and you kind of agree with me when I say this, but I think tonight is a perfect high-risk slate night. I would not really recommend playing a lot of low risk tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, and I think this is actually gonna be pretty true for this whole week, Moose. Right? Like last week and last year, we were able to go off trends, but we're not really sure what coaches are going to do this year because there's only 3 preseason games compared to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we could match up each week of the previous year or a previous coach's tenure and figure out who they were going to play. So now we have to figure out, are coaches going to play this like preseason week 2? Or they're going to play like preseason week 3, which is the dress rehearsal week, or are some coaches just not going to dress rehearse at all this year, which is definitely the case for some teams. So we don't have any specific playing time notes as far as like how many quarters each guy is going to play tonight. We have a rough idea, but Moose, unlike last week, no true confirmations just yet.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to get hard confirmation X player is going to play Y quarters. So, a lot of it's based off the trends and the snap counts and from what we've seen in practices. And so that leaves a lot of questions. Brian, one of the notes I have here is about the New England starters. So I know they got a couple of people banged up, but what's your thought on the New England side? I know you said we got a lot of questions there.
Yeah, so I think the one thing we know for sure, as you see on screen here, the Daily Plug, is Mac Jones is going to get a ton of run, right? This is their first round pick, fighting for the starting job. Typically, Belichick plays his younger quarterbacks a lot in the preseason. And what we don't know for sure is how much Cam Newton's going to play. Most beat reporters expect him to play more than he played last week, which was about 2 series. And that may seem weird for Belichick, considering he doesn't play a ton of his starters in preseason. But there have been times where he plays his starters for an entire half. In 2018, he played Brady for an entire half in preseason week 2. And just because I have a photographic memory of sorts, like I remember that week specifically, we found that out like an hour before lock that Brady was going to play the whole half, and then we were scrambling to update our lineups because that's pretty big information.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of pre-lock news from New England as well, so maybe we find this out here over the next hour or so. Right now, Moose, I would probably expect Cam to play a little bit more than last week. Maybe he gets up to a half, but the big news is probably Mac Jones. He has the safest playing time on the slate of a half of football.
Yeah, and I actually got this question asked to me the other day. We all know the answer, but sometimes, people are new here or whatever reason. Can you play 2 quarterbacks from the same team in preseason? Yes, you absolutely can do that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely gotten that question before. It's any correlation that you have from your regular season memories, you can wipe it out for preseason.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, did we? And so speaking of New England, now we're flipping over to the other side with Philly. One situation that kind of stands out for me is the running back situation. How are the beat reporters treating it at the running back situation?
For Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually just got confirmation that Jason Huntley is out. He played a lot last week. Kenneth Gainwell played the most of the snaps for the running backs on Philly's side last week, like 45%. We don't expect them to play their veterans much more, if any more, than they did last week, which was a handful of snaps for Jordan Howard and Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders didn't play at all. And they waived Kerryon Johnson this week. So that leaves the 3 veteran guys, just Kenneth Gainwell, and there was Elijah Holyfield on the back end. He only played special teams last week, but he has played in the preseason before. He is a running back. I would expect him to get snaps tonight too. But yeah, I think Kenneth Gainwell is going to be the most popular running back on the slate because once again, and I think we see this trend a lot, he has the most widely availably known playing time.
Exactly. Yep, you're completely right on that. Jake, what's up, Jake? In the chat says, so what's Philly going to be doing at kicker tonight? Elliott is the only kicker on the roster, but he did miss practice, so I don't know what they're going to be doing there. If he's out, then that probably bumps up, the running backs and wide receivers as well for 4th down 2-point conversion. Would you agree with that?
It does, and actually, Jeff McLean, one of the more in-tune beat reporters for Philly, he actually said the same thing because Jake Elliott is not in uniform. He is out tonight.
Oh.
So we're updating the plug with that. Philadelphia does not have a kicker. Maybe they tried their punter. I mean, we saw last week some terrible kicks from kickers, from backup kickers and punters. So I don't think it would be out of the equation to see that. But yeah, I agree with that take, Moose. I think we might get a little bump for Philly players if they're going for a 4th down more often.
I also just a quick side note, why would you ever punt or kick a field goal in preseason? If it's even remotely close to anything, just go for it.
I thought about this too. And I always, especially from a DFS perspective, I always say this too. But you hear coaches talk, and they always say we want to get special teams snaps on tape against other teams. So I guess special teams needs preseason too. I don't know. I wish they'd go for it every time from our selfish perspectives though.
I don't know. It'd be 4th and 2 on the 6-yard line. And they're like, oh, we're just going to kick a field goal because why not? Fired.
Right. Jimmy Kempski, who's at the game, he's another Eagles reporter. He said no one's even attempted a field goal in pregame warmups yet. So we're getting all 2-point conversions. We're getting all going for it on 4th downs.
Nice.
At least that's what it seems like. So
that is great. I love it. There we go. Putting that down in the notebook right now. Dot Bet's also in here. He said those built-in rules, fire emoji. So Brian, if you want to explain really quick for people who are watching what addition we added to the lineup builder tonight.
Yeah. Do you have it up, Moose? Can you bring it up? If not,
yeah.
I can talk about it.
It's fine. Yeah. So have it up here, and I'll go to the multi-build section. Okay, and then over in custom rules, we add a custom rule. You'll see we have added in built-in rules. So for example, you can do for stacks, New England max pass catchers without a quarterback. There's different positions. There's pretty much all the different type of preset rules you'd want to do. And I think that's even better is once you do that, you can actually edit the rules before it's saved. So if for some reason, I don't know, I'm just throwing out here, Jon Smith, if you didn't want him in your custom group, you could do that as well. So very, very powerful.
Saves a lot of time too for those of us who make a ton of rules for Showdown. This is a game changer, and it makes a lot of the rules we put in the plug when we say here's how to build Showdown lineups tonight. A lot of those rules can easily be implemented now. So shout out to Jack, DFS Magic lineup builder creator, who implemented these this week. Yeah,
if you're in the Discord, don't do it now because we need the views on the video. But after the video, go in the Discord and just spam Jack and the DFS Magic channel. Don't actually tag him because then he'll get flustered. But just show your love for Jack for having these built-in custom rules.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. So let's see here if anyone else here. Dot Bet says should we pair pass catchers with their quarterback tonight?
So on the Patriots side, I think you can because it's very clear who's playing with who. Aguilar, Bourne, and Jacoby Myers are going to play with Cam Newton. They might get one series of Mac Jones. There's a little overlap. Mac Jones is definitely playing with N'Keal Harry, Christian Wilkinson, and Gunnar Olszewski. That's a lot. And Devin Asiasi, the only tight end on the roster, who I think everybody knows by this point because it's in every freaking article about the Patriots. He's the only tight end, so you can pair him with both. The Eagles side gets a little trickier because we don't know the playing time. A lot of the Eagles receivers have been mixing and matching with the first and second team, second and third team. So there, I don't think you necessarily have to, just because it would be tough to figure out which quarterback's going to throw to which receiver over there. So long story short, for the Patriots side, yes. The Eagles side, no.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned Devin Asai. I can never say his last name. Every article is written about him. Everyone knows he's the only tight end. So could you see him as a fade in high risk contests where I don't know what percent he's going to be owned, but pretty significant, I think. Do you think that's someone you could be fade or at least be underexposed on?
I'm still debating about this, Moose, because to me, if this was a regular slate, yes, because where you have to play a tight end.
Hmm.
But people, even we know this, right? People haven't been playing tight ends that much. And I mean, we see like 3% in Showdown for tight ends that get a lot of work. So even though he's known to get a lot of playing time, I don't know how popular he'll be, and he definitely won't be popular at captain.
Hmm.
So I think that's maybe where you get your leverage. But again, yeah, I'd be surprised if people play him, even though they know he's the only guy on the field, because they want to play the defenses, they want to play the kicker, the quarterbacks, Kenneth Gainwell. Honestly, don't know how much he'll be owned, and I think it's a pretty good play by all accounts.
Yeah, it goes from fading him completely to captaining him at a tight end. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Dot Bet says, how long do we think Mac Jones plays tonight?
Yeah, roughly a half. There's always upside for more. It's going to depend on how long Cam Newton plays. And again, we don't have official word. We're hoping to get some reports here pregame. It is a national TV game, so hopefully we get a national reporter chiming in, and that's
Mhm.
normally where we get the good information. Because somehow I don't know how the local beats don't have access to this information. But let's just monitor here for the next 45 minutes. Just conservatively expect a half for Matt Jones. Maybe he gets a little more.
Cool, cool. Ken says, any thoughts on the Philly wide receivers?
Yeah, I have tons of thoughts. I'm glad he asked that. It's a great alley-oop question, Ken, because we just got word that Jon Hightower, who didn't play last week, he was actually on the air yards list last year, most right, a couple times earlier in the year. Hightower is going to play tonight. He did not play last week. He returned to practice this week, so he's going to play. I'm gonna run off the receivers of who's playing, who's not, and kind of their expectations. How's that sound?
Okay.
So let me bring up the depth chart here. Just give me 1 second here, Moose, while I do
No
this.
problem.
So I'm just gonna name the players and what we expect from them.
Okay.
I'll give it away. This is in the daily plug. If I can actually click the actual fucking right button. Okay. So the Eagles, we got. I mean, here's the thing. Like as I said like 5 minutes ago, they've been playing with multiple units, different units. So it's kind of tough to figure out who's going to play when and with which quarterback. But we have Devonta Smith, the first round rookie. He's making his return, his debut tonight. By all indications, he's going to play a handful of snaps, less than the starters, maybe a series. So there's no reason to play him. Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor started last week, and they played a good amount of snaps. Reagor got up to 33%. We all seen the highlight reel catch he made in camp this week. He'll play a good amount. Greg Ward played a lot last week too. He's a veteran, but he played like 40% of the snaps as their slot guy. He didn't have a target. I still think he'll play a decent amount tonight, so let's keep him in mind. JJ Arcega-Whiteside is battling for a roster spot, as is Travis Fulgham. So I think those guys get the bulk of the work. So I like playing them both. Quez Watkins, we know about him tearing up camp, playing with the first team. Caught the long touchdown last week. Could have had 2 long touchdowns last week. He'll probably be the most popular Eagles receiver for sure. I'm playing him a little less this week, Moose, just because I think everyone saw what he did last week.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of Eagles receivers that are going to get playing time tonight. The big question is Andre Patton. He played like 40% of the snaps last week. He's very questionable. Didn't practice this week. Trying to get word on whether or not he's playing. If he does play, he's a very good under the radar play. And then we have Jon Hightower, who could play a little bit, could play a lot because he's just coming back from injury. But because he's a late add to the top plays, I think he'll go lower owned. So I like him as well.
Nice. Yeah, that pretty much hits everyone and answers Eagles' question as well. Do you like Rieger at captain though, as he asked, as Eagles asked?
I do. Again, I know people see the starters are playing less, but Rager played beyond what the starters played last week. He played 38% of the snaps. He didn't have a preseason last year. They want him to get more work. So he's going to play quarter and a half, maybe 2 quarters. So yeah, I definitely like Rager at captain because I don't think a lot of people will put him there.
Nice. And as Spokowski said, the punter is kicking for field goals and warm-ups. I saw the tweet video, and it was pretty bad. It just went like straight. It went up like maybe a yard in the air. It just went straight.
I'm watching right now. So yeah, I mean, again, we can't play this guy, and not that Jesus Christ, I just saw it. Not that we'd even want to play this guy. So yeah, just the takeaway here is Jake Elliott's out. Don't play him.
Yes, absolutely. He'll still be 3% owned on FanDuel.
I know. Shit, probably DraftKings too.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So we're here for about another 5, 10, 15 minutes or so. If you have questions, now's the time to go ahead and ask. If you're new here and you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe for more. If you really like what you see, you can join our Discord channel by joining our YouTube channel. I guess that's what it's called now, joining it. Or you can be a member. Check out the daily plug that you see here on screen at OccupyFantasy.com. Membership also gets you access to the historical preseason stats, snap counts, targets, air yards, opportunities, the whole 9 yards, everything. It is great. So definitely go ahead and check that out if that's something that you're interested in.
Yes. Hey, Moose, bring up the builder really quickly. Just want to showcase this feature. I know the people in the chat who are our members probably know this, but just so you know, we are updating the builder live, like up through lock and even post lock when new top plays are added as a result of pregame news. So if you bring up Jon Hightower, Moose, if you just search his name, he probably has an OF index of 0, I believe, unless you refreshed it pretty quickly recently.
I gotta refresh it.
So yeah, he should have a 0 if you didn't refresh. But if you click get latest projections, we've already added him as a top high risk play.
I actually did not know that was a thing. It's always refreshed. But sweet. Yeah, so he's in there now. So he's in the builder. Again, for those who don't know, for our builder for preseason, everyone has an OF index of 5, whether they're high risk or low risk. If they're in our top plays. If they're not, they have a 0. Normally during regular season, this will be populated by a proprietary OF index. But yeah, so you can do that and be all set. Brian, I did want to ask you one quick question about the builder. I was doing 20 max the other day, and in preseason, do you set your randomizer to high?
Yeah, I still always set it to high, right? Because for me, how I interpret that setting is how mixed up are my lineups, how different is each individual lineup. Because for me, the reason we created that setting in the first place, because with other optimizers, I've had it where groups of players have been paired together in the same lineup for no reason, like no correlation. Like I'm thinking like NFL Classic, for whatever reason, the running back from the 49ers, for some reason, is always paired with the tight end from the Browns, and they're not even playing the same games. This is how the optimizer's spinning it out. So the randomizer setting to high eliminates that kind of clustering and grouping to get a true mix of players throughout your lineups. So I always set it for high if I'm playing high risk contests.
Yeah, that's great. Hawk Dark says, what's your thoughts on Gainwell or Jones for captain?
So I think, if you're playing smaller contests, totally fine, right? Mac Jones is going to be very popular. He'll be one of the more popular captains after the defenses. So I think it's just a matter of what you're trying to accomplish and what contest you're playing in. Mac Jones we have as the 3rd best overall play behind the defenses, but he'll also be the 3rd most popular play. So keep that in mind. Gainwell will probably be the 4th most because he has the known playing time. So again, these are popular captains, but I think for small field contest moves, they're totally fine. Low risk, 50-50s, double ups, head-to-heads, we still think the defenses are the best move just because they have such a high expectation in preseason games.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Dopez said he always goes high, and he never knew if that was good. I just like the variance. Yeah, I've noticed, because I was building lineups even on medium. I was like, dude, I don't want like 7 players all in the same thing. But yeah, so normally 9 times out of 10 I'm going with high.
Just a quick example until we get another question. If you leave it on low, basically kind of what it does, it'll put the 5 most optimal players in the lineup, and then it'll put the 6th best player, and then it might put the 7th best player in there, and then the 8th best. And so those top 4 guys get grouped a lot together instead of being evenly distributed amongst all your lineups. You just get a better group of high-risk lineups if you leave it on medium or high.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely. A question for you, Brian, that's not necessarily pertaining to this particular game, but last week, unders in the preseason went like 14-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought the books would adjust. I thought maybe you'd see some 40s or something like that in there. What's your thought on unders this week or in this game?
The fact that they left the total basically the same as the first week for both the Eagles. I think the Eagles total in week 1 was 37, and the Patriots total in week 1 was 37. Now this total for tonight is 38. I haven't checked in a couple hours. Maybe that's moved, but yeah, it's hard to read into that, right? National TV game. I think maybe they expect the starters to play a little more, especially on the Patriots side. I don't know. It's really tough for me to read into it, Moose, and honestly, anything I came up with, I don't know how true it would be.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think what's going to happen is it's going to be under more. I don't know. I think books are going to adjust, and people are going to realize, oh, this is still preseason. Players still suck. But like backups of backups are going to play some. So, but I think like last week you could have just bet blindly on the unders. I think this time you're just going to have to pick your spots.
Dude, some of those games were atrocious last week to watch.
They were very bad. I was trying. It's so funny because like you have like my girlfriend sometimes be like, hey, let's go out, and it's like, no, like let's watch football instead, and
I have to watch these sports streamers play.
and no, and like she'll try and I'll try to justify like this shitty game that's on TV. It's like, yes, I have to watch this, like instead of going out. Let's see here. Dopes is a good question. It says, have you guys been adjusting the OF index for guys that you want in your lineups more?
Yeah, I think there's two ways to accomplish this. You can either do that, or what I've been doing is just setting min exposures for different players. And if there's guys I really want in my lineups, I'll just create a custom rule, and I just call it core, and I'll add, min of 3 guys from this custom group. Like if I want the defenses, the quarterbacks, the big running backs, and I want those guys rotated through, I'll make a core of those 6 guys, give me a minimum of those 3 guys. In the builder, minimum exposure 50% to all of them, and then I'll do that. Or like, maybe you want each player 10%. You can set every player's min exposure to 10%. So I do it that way, but you can certainly change the OF index as well. Just make sure you have the custom projections turned on.
Yeah, absolutely. Spokowski says Eagles won't have Darius Slay or any of their starting defensive linemen tonight, so that could be something for the running backs as well.
Could be. Yeah, again, we try not to read into defensive matchups too much, but that's certainly nice, and that will help any Cam Newton snaps. So let's keep that in mind.
Definitely. Cool. So we're here for 3 more minutes, 6:55 before we get up out of here. Brian, you have any last thoughts on the slate or anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, just got news. Brandon Bolden is in street clothes. He didn't play last week either. Pretty much a special teams guy, but in previous years he has gotten running back snaps. This makes this game look exactly like last week's game in terms of running back snaps for New England. We're going to see Sonny Michel, Damian Harris, James White in the first half basically, and then Ramondre Stevenson, J.J. Taylor close out the second half. They have no other running backs on the roster. So I expected Bolden to be in, which would have muddied this backfield up a little more. It does make Taylor and Stevenson a little more attractive, but again, it's still 5 running backs splitting work. So, it's not like the Eagles side by any means.
No, and just to pinpoint on that, so could that be a play where if there's a player you like Jake says, is Taylor your favorite New England running back? If you like someone like Taylor or something like that, I could see that as a high risk play of, for whatever reason you like that running back, play a little bit more exposure to him because it's going to be so money, they're all going to be low owned. That if that person that struck luck of the draw, that running back gets a touchdown, you look pretty good.
Yeah, and to be honest, I kind of, if going with that line of thinking, I like some of the Patriots starters, especially James White. I think Cal, who finished 3rd in the Showdown GPP on Sunday, who's a member of ours, very sharp Showdown player. He mentioned liking James White tonight in the Discord this morning. Nice. So I think James White makes sense there. Taylor, I like the most, but I also think the field probably likes him the most. Moose who I don't like is Stevenson. Obviously, we liked him a lot last week. He was our top play on that slate, and he rewarded all of us with this Derrick Henry-esque 90-yard touchdown run. However, he only ran like 2 pass routes, just jammed into the line, except for that very final play of the game. So I think a lot of people will play Stevenson tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him get like 8 carries for 25 yards or something.
Yeah, that's going to be absolutely mind blowing when that happens. Perfect. So I think that'll all do it. Brian, I'll let you take us out of here tonight.
All right, guys. Appreciate everyone listening. It is a showdown slate tonight, so check out the Daily Plug at OccupyFantasy.com. We're one of the only sites with a lineup builder that's loaded with our top plays for preseason, build up to 150 lineups, or hand build lineups using our optimal lineup criteria that checks your lineup as you build it. We're back tomorrow with a 2-game slate and then the big Saturday slate. We also have games Sunday and Monday. So be sure to check all that out, OccupyFantasy.com. Subscribe if you like what you see here, because we're doing videos multiple times per week now with NFL back. Give us a thumbs up if you want to see more of these types of videos. And our Discord channel is popping, talking, members, staff, everybody's talking about different daily fantasy sports. Click the join button below this video to join the Discord.
Definitely. And last question from Blake: what are we doing with Asiasi?
Playing him. I mean, we get like the dude's gonna play pretty much every play. I think you got to play him some.
True. Cool. So all right. So next time, we're really quick, just for the people here. Are you doing a live stream tomorrow for the 2-game slate?
Yeah, I know you're out, Moose, because you're gonna be on the ground. So yeah, I'll do something. We'll figure something out, and I will do a live stream tomorrow.
Perfect. Awesome. So until tomorrow, Moose and Brian here. We're from OccupyFantasy.com. Have a good night.